is Alfred. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is 4/20/23. You know, I get jokes. Oh, you couldn't wait one more day? That's the International Smoke Day. And, you know, honestly, you know, I might not have made it another day this time. And so, yeah, I'm going to start this out with this joke. You know, we live along the Gulf Coast, and there's a big storm brewing out in the Gulf, you know, this 100-year storm that's coming this way. And it's all on the news. And this guy, kind of like me, alcoholic dope fiend, goes and stacks up, got bottles, cases of beer, and he's sitting there watching this on the news, you know, telling everybody they need to evacuate. The storm's coming. And he sits there and he just laughs. He's like, man, God's got me. And, you know, a couple hours go by, it starts raining. Well, by then, the water's up to, you know, to his porch. And they got people trudging through the water, you know, in the little rubber outfits, going door to door, trying to get people to evacuate. He's like, nah, God's got me. And so, you know, a few more hours go by. Well, it done raised up to the second story of his house. So he's up there. He drags all his alcohol with him. And he's sitting there. And, you know, they got people in airboats going by talking about, come on, you need to get out. You're gonna drown. You're going to drown. He's like, God's got me. You know, before you know it, he's standing on the roof. Helicopter comes by, drops the ladder. Come on, sir, you need to get out of your house. He's got a tall boy in his hand talking about, God's got me. You know, when, you know, the water comes, the dude can't swim, and he drowns. When he gets to heaven, he asks God, why didn't you help me? I've been a church member my whole life. He's like, you dumb MF. I sipped 3 people. I was on the news, you know, and that's me when I'm in my addiction. I can't see God when he's trying to help me. My mom died on Valentine's Day of 22. I was in Wilmington, North Carolina on one of my attempts to escape me. And, you know, my dad, reluctantly, he flew me home. I got to say bye to my mom before she passed. And she knew who I was. She was already in hospice. And, you know, one of the last things I remember her saying was, give me a shot, because they had her hooked up to Dilaudid. And that still hurts today. But I used that for a reason to get high that night. And anyways, so I go back to Wilmington and, you know, fighting with the girl because I came home and got high. And, you know, but I was, got kicked out of the sober house I was at. And I was like, I'm done. So got into another sober house. I was doing good. You know, I went good for about a month, you know. As it said in the book, the goose hung high. And it wasn't a horizon, it wasn't a cloud on the horizon. You know, everything was going good. I stopped by the beach on the way to work that morning, watched the sunrise over the, you know, the water, over the ocean. I was up for promotion at my job. The house that I moved into was an Oxford house. They wanted to send me to the state convention. You know, they voted for me to go, and I had to go get a COVID shot. Well, the Walmart in Wilmington, they were out of COVID shots, so I had to go like 30 miles away. And went, I got my little COVID shot, and on the way back, bam, the thought hit me. I'm freaking thirsty. And I stopped and got a beer, and you know, with me, I like alcohol in all forms. Especially the clear kind that keeps you up for weeks at a time. So, you know, I end up getting that, and you know, the next day in our house is our weekly meeting is on Sundays, and I come down there tweaked out, end up failing a drug test, got kicked out of my sober house, lost my job, you know, and that was the start of my last debacle. Because, see, I don't know when, you know, I've had those little short briefs of sobriety, but, you know, I don't, it will eventually end when I lose everything. House, car, job, everything. And it took me from then I want to say March of 22 until I got here in April 19th of 23. So, that was a year and a half of hell. Anyways, all started, I was born in Galveston, 1976. They call it a water baby, I guess. I don't know why. I was born in a hospital. But anyways, I didn't have a terribly bad childhood. I think the only thing they were really bad, I remember being 5 years old, and this dude, he used to babysit. I woke up and he had his mouth on me, and that was back. My parents never told me, these are your privates. Somebody touches you, you're supposed to tell somebody, and that. So that, and not only that, my parents, they're alcoholics. My mom died of kidney failure, liver failure from eating pills so much, and they always fought. And so I lived in a fear my whole life, and that stayed with me. I still have some kind of fear, but not like I used to. So I go through my childhood. I do all right in school. I get to high school, and it's the first time I got drunk. And when I drank, I didn't drink to drink some beer. We drank to get drunk. I remember my homeboy, his parents went out of town, and there was about 5 or 6 of us, and we sat there, and I was the one that got drunk till he was throwing up. Nobody else was, just me. And then he had an older sister that was popular. I think she was in 10th or 11th grade. Anyways, by the end of the night, they had the whole high school over there. Fuck, the varsity quarterback, man, he was feeding me cookies. I was passed out in the chair, trying to sober me up. And so, yeah, that's how it all started. I remember later that year, my freshman year, we went by this dude's house. And that stuff that makes you see things that you put under your tongue, he was eating that. And I was like, why you do that? That shit's stupid. You know what I'm saying? And 2 years later, we were in my friend's car, and they had some of that. And he was like, just go ahead, it's all right. And I think that was the first time I could remember being powerless, because at first, getting drunk in high school, I thought that was normal. But I really didn't want to do that because drugs were bad, and I knew that. But I had no power. I gave in. And so, that's just how it started, just not being able to say no. And I was 16 years old. You used to be able to get into a club with a paper ID. I had it memorized in case they asked me a question. I was 16 years old at at an adult bar getting drunk every Thursday and Saturday at Shark Dance. And it just, I barely got out of high school. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather. I barely made it out of high school. I had, my senior year, I had first period, second period, third period off, and auto paint body the rest of the day. And I remember in January, at the end of January, I got called in the office because they said, you're going to have to do something about your attendance or you're going to fail. I had like 15, 16 absences in January from auto paint body because I would go home and I would get stoned and I would just sit there and not go back to school. So anyways, I went to the alternative school they had, and they give you these packets where you can work at your own pace. And well, not only that, they let you grade your test when you were done. So I mean, come on, man, who's gonna fail themselves? B plus, A minus, a C plus every once in a while. So that's how I manipulated my way out of high school. And then, so what am I going to do with my life? I'm out of high school. So I go down, I went to the recruiter to go to the Navy. And I remember, man, because they used to, so I remember being down in St. Martin, coming back to that ship, drunk as can be, could hardly walk, but we got praised for coming back because we made it back. You had to sign out with a buddy when you're overseas. They didn't like you going by yourself. and we got praise because we made it back to the ship together. Anyways, we had been out to sea for about 2 weeks. We get home on my 19th birthday, and we go to the beach. And we're out there partying at the beach. And I remember this dude that was in boot camp with me, he was out there on the beach. We got put on the same ship. And I remember getting hungry, because I've been drinking all afternoon and night. And we went into town. They had shipped my truck over there. And that was the last thing I remember, was going to get something to eat. I woke up in the hospital, strapped down, catheter in me. I didn't feel him put it in, but I felt him took it out. That shit don't feel good. And I remember calling home to my grandma, and I was talking to her, and then I couldn't hear her. I had switched ears. I couldn't hear her. I called back. Anyways, I found out, man, I lost hearing in my right ear due to that wreck. And for a long time, man, I blamed it on the Navy, because when you're out to sea, you don't get a lot of sleep because you ain't got nowhere to go. You pretty much work, go to sleep, get up, and do the same thing. And I blamed it on lack of sleep for a long time, not the fact that I had a bottle of Jose Cuervo walking around the beach. Yeah. And so I get out of the Navy, and it just continues. The lack of power. See, this dude I knew before I went to the Navy, he had tried to get me to do some of that white powdery substance, and I was like, I don't do that shit. And when I got home from the Navy, he was like, man, you're gonna do this tonight, and I did, because once again I was powerless. And that right there just took me on a long journey of from one thing to another to another to another. I'm not gonna talk about drugs too much. This is AA, but I drank the whole entire time that I did everything else. I remember my grandma. She told me, she said, you have a problem, and I don't know. I was in my early 20s, and I didn't think I had a problem, but I lived with my grandma, so I listened to her to keep her happy. She took me to some place in Houston because I didn't have insurance, and I didn't know nothing about this place or the wheelhouse way back when I was young. And she took me to some place, and I was there for about 2 days, man, and I called somebody to come pick me up. And bless her heart, I love her and I miss her with all my heart. But she enabled me for a lot of years, always saving me. And it's not her fault, it's not. But she did, she helped me. She was always there for me. Also, when I got out of the Navy, shortly thereafter that, I had got into some trouble, and I caught my first case. And the only felony I have, but Judge Ted Poe, and part of if you get in trouble in Houston, they automatically think it's drugs and alcohol related. So I was forced to go to AA, 90 meetings in 90 days. And I just got out. Part of my probation was sit in Harris County for 120 days. No 2 for 1. I just sit in there for 4 months. So I was scared. I went to every meeting. I went to all 90 meetings in 90 days. But I wasn't. I had fully conceded to myself. I wasn't like y'all. Y'all are old people. I was still young, and I remember my mom. She had owned an ice house down there in Shore Acres. And I went there after one of my meetings to drink a beer, of course. And this woman that was there, she was on probation for a DUI. And she told me, she goes, you don't have to go to those meetings. She goes, it's anonymous. She goes, you can get anybody to sign that. Oh, well, thank you, ma'am. And yeah, when I looked at, when I actually was going to the meetings, this dude signed his name as Geezer. So I was like, well, fuck, they're not gonna know. So we sat around and passed the doobie at the end of every month before I went to probation. And but you know the story I told you at the beginning, that was God trying to give me help. Looking back at it now, but I was too blind to see it then. And you know, if I know what I know now, huh? And so, like I said, man, I'm a runner. My dad had got a job in Florida at this power plant, and I wasn't doing shit with my life. I think I was like 25. He was like, "Come here." He goes, "I'll put you to work." And you know, that's what I could still manage. You know, I couldn't save money, but I made it to work. You know, because you got to have money to party, right? And that went on for a few years, and I moved back and forth from Florida to Texas a few times, and trying to escape myself. Funny thing is, I'm always there when I get to the place I'm running to, and so. Anyways, I get there, get back here, and I don't know, man. There's a lot of years I vaguely remember shit. I mean, I stayed. They talk about it in the book about being intoxicated, where you need to sleep around. But I just stayed intoxicated pretty much my whole life. Look, if you want to be honest. So I forgot to bring this piece of paper. So I got this claim with the Navy, and I had to get some medical records. One of my nights of out being up for a few days. Okay, so this is. Let me go back. So when I get out of the Navy, I manipulate my way out of the Navy. Okay, I come home for that Christmas after my car wreck, and I see one of my homeboys that also had joined. And I was like, "Well, how are you already home?" He was like, "Man, they let me out." I said, "Well, how'd they just let you out?" He said, "I told them I was going to kill myself if they didn't let me out." And that's how I got out of the Navy. I told him I was, you know, it reminds me of Bill's story when they're jumping, you know, out of the towers because of the stock market. He wouldn't kill himself. You know, that ain't me. I'm not going to kill myself. I'm just telling you that so I can manipulate my way to get home to do what I want to do. You know, and I got an other than honorable discharge. Anyways, so, you know, I never had a serious relationship. The mother of my oldest daughter, I met her in Florida. She followed me from a few states, and I have a great idea, you know, a kid to make me settle down. Yeah, that didn't work. I remember when she was like 2 years old, I had been up for a few nights, and this is one of the jobs I had. I'd been there for right over a year, so I had some health insurance, and I was seeing a psychiatrist because, you know, some people need that kind of help. I didn't know if I did or not. I was just going to make her happy, and I had been out for a few days. Well, I get home about 5 o'clock in the morning. Only had enough money for the taxi to get about a mile from my house, so I had to walk 5 in the morning for a mile, where he dropped me off in the middle of the road to the house in flip-flops in the freaking heat, in the heat like it is now, and I was already in a pissed off mood because of that. And I get home, and you know, I finally come home, so she's and I'm like, well, I'll show you. I swallowed a bunch of pills, a bunch of psych medicine and a bunch of sleeping pills, and I thank God she had enough decency to call the ambulance, because I would have died. I was taken to the hospital. I had my stomach pumped, you know, and all kinds of crazy stuff. So, you know, we ended up moving to Fort Worth, and I come here to work. They call me back to Houston to work, and I'm, you know, by this time I upgraded to the clear alcohol, and I went up there for Mother's Day to see her, and I came back here, and I got a call. I thought I needed to go see another female, and I tried to make a U-turn right in front of the LaPorte Police Department, and was rear-ended, and that's when I got my first DUI, and I was still living in I was in Fort Worth at the time, and I had to once again, you know, they required me to go to AA, and just like my story, that's God trying to reach out to help me once again, and but I was just too blind to see it, and I say this, and I mean, and they don't have a board here like they do at the wheelhouse, but I believe that God's leniency has a time frame on it, has a time stamp. They got a board at the wheelhouse, goes from the top all the way to the bottom with obituaries where their leniency expired, and it's only a matter of time if you're seriously alcoholic, as I was, and I do believe that from the bottom of my heart. So anyways, me and her split up. I run out one night. We get into a fight. I run out one night, and I've never been back since. Because that's how I know. That's what I know how to do, is to run. I still. Our daughter, she's 12 years old now. She was just about to be 4 when that happened, and she still don't talk to me. But I do text her mom once or twice a week and tell her that her daddy loves her. She always gives me a thumbs up. So, God willing, she'll come around one day. I do believe that, on God's time, not Alfred's. So, I leave her, and my dad gets me a job again. He was in Beaumont working, and I wasn't there 2-3 months. I fucked that one up, and so I come back to LaPorte, and I meet the mother. That's the youngest, the mother of my youngest child. I meet her, and she gets in trouble for something, and she tells me about this place called the Wheelhouse. She goes, the only thing she tells me is that they help men get their lives back together. I'm like, well, shit, that's what I need. And I show up to the Wheelhouse with everything I own and 2 backpacks on a bicycle. And boy, I didn't know what I was in for, but I needed it. Yeah. So that the Wheelhouse, man, they will teach you this book in and out. That is one thing you will learn at the Wheelhouse. Okay, it's not nothing like this, but it's a little bit like this, but not like this. You already know. So I go through the Wheelhouse, and this was during Hurricane Harvey, and I still couldn't fully concede to myself. I show up on a bike, man, with everything I own on 2 backpacks, but I can fucking manage. Pardon my language. I'm trying not to cuss. I still couldn't fully concede to my innermost self that I'm one of y'all. And the hurricane hits. I get a good job. I get a car within a month. And I move in with the dude that sponsored me. He lets me. He's got a 2-bedroom apartment. He says, "Yeah, you can come rent a room from me." Man, I ain't there 2 weeks, and he asked me to leave. And I had about 3 or 4 months, and I got my car towed, and my dad wasn't. My dad, he's not an enabler. He was like, "I can't help you, son." He goes, "You're gonna have to figure this out." And and it just so happens this is how God works. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was walking the streets of Pasadena because I got a PI. They towed my car. Thank goodness I didn't get another DUI. But this is how God works. My stepmom was in town because they live in Florida still, and she was in town, and I was like, man, might be able to go to this place, the Humble House, and so she just happened to be in town. She picked me up, and she dropped me off here, and I was what's his freaking name? Chuck, right? With the loud dude, right? That's his name, right? Yeah, so he was on the front porch. He scared the shit out of me. I was like, damn, I didn't know if I wanted to stay here. That dude was freaking me out, man. And for real. But I also swallowed like a half a gram of meth on the way, so I was already twacked out. And anyways, I get here, and Claudius was the house manager. And he was like, and I was like, man, can I? I said, I'm gonna die, And that's what you're supposed to say when you get here. So I tell him that. He said, go sleep in the waterfront. And anyways, he let me in here. And I was here about a month. And the dude that was the assistant manager, he asked me if he was leaving, if I wanted to be the assistant manager. I was like, well, hell yeah, I don't got to pay rent. And worst decision I could have made. You know, I put this house before recovery, and they say anything you put before recovery, you know, you're gonna lose. So, you know, I was here for 11 months, and I couldn't fully concede. I had drank a beer, a Four Logo, I think, at the beginning, and I had a stint of sobriety where I was actual sober. I want to say probably from the middle of the summer up until the beginning of the year. And, I was getting high afterwards. I remember Dante coming, knocking on the door. He said, what are you doing in bed? He said, are you high? I was like, no, Dad, I don't feel good. And, but I was. And, because I just thought I could manage. Anyways, I had a good job when I left here at a good company, Sulzer, and I left here. I wasn't there for a month, man. And then, the debacle really began. I went back to the wheelhouse once, was there for a couple days, but I still had a car, so I could manage. I ended up leaving, came back here, I think, for like a week, and then I left. Didn't even tell Dante nothing. I just packed my income tax check had hit, and so I just bounced. And this time they had took my Kelsey's mother came and picked up my youngest daughter and took her to Kansas City. And I was like, fuck that, I'm going to get my kid. And I left because I'm a runner. And I took that money and I went up to Kansas City. Well, that's when we first got them checks, for COVID. And I did. I paid $500 to a lawyer, and I had paperwork from from the state talking about my child ain't supposed to leave Houston. And that judge said, give that boy his child back. Y'all take that shit to Texas. And they gave me my child back. And we spent 2 weeks at a hotel getting high, fighting, and getting drunk. And the best decision I could ever make, man, we called her grandma, and we had her meet us, man, and I gave that kid back. Because that's no way to have a child. And, and I do give God all the credit for, letting me not be that fucking stupid. And so, I'll come back down here. I can't come here. The wheelhouse, I can't go there because, I burn up my bridges. That's what I do. Fuck you. I'm going to get what I want, and I'm going to keep going. And so they said, we'll send you up to Minneapolis. The dude at the wheelhouse knows people up there. So I went up there, man, and I was up there for about 9 months. I did good for the most part. My dad, the last job he fired me from, he actually gave me a pink slip. So I was able to get unemployment during COVID. So I got some of that COVID money. I was hood rich. But I didn't. I did good. I did good, man. I'll spend it on stupid shit like shoes and hats and all that shit I don't need that I think I need to make you think I know who I am. And but I sent that shit. I used my brother as a bank, man. That was the smartest thing I could have done, And I sent him enough money to be able to get a car. So I was a little smart, through my stints of sobriety, Anyways, she ended up in Wilmington because her family did an intervention. I ended up going there, And this is funny. I could see it coming, man. My car would be packed for 2 weeks, and it's that final straw. I don't even got to pack my shit and leave. It's already packed. I head to Knoxville, and I'm there for about, a half a year, and, same thing. I can't never fully concede to my innermost self that I'm an alcoholic and drug head. And now I truly understand why they say that's the only step that you have to get right. I really do believe that now, or understand it. I'm not going to tell you too much more, just back and forth running. I get to the we leave. She's going to go to New Hope. I'm going to go to the wheelhouse. So we leave Kansas City because that's where I went afterwards. And so I go to the wheelhouse. This was in December of 23. I go to the wheelhouse, and they're going to let me in the wheelhouse. Well, they don't take my phone. They let me use my phone. Well, they won't let her in New Hope. So I'm like, well, fuck that. If you ain't going, I ain't going. And man, from December until April, man, that was the worst. That was some of the worst of my life. Um, you know, and I finally, like I said, I had my car packed for a week, and I finally said enough's enough, and I went to the wheelhouse, and I was there for about 2 days, and they kicked me out because I got a bad attitude, and shit, you would too if you didn't have sleep for 2 weeks. Uh, so, like Brett was saying at the beginning, man, I was on my way back to Knoxville because they have a VA thing where they house you and give you food and help you get back on track, and it's not hot like it is down here, and but how am I gonna get to Knoxville? I have no money, no job, so I'm like, fuck, somebody at the Humble House to give me some money for gas, and sure enough, I come up here. I'm like, I sit there I'm all hyped, good attitude. Dante, and he's like, yeah, I'll fill your car up for you. He said, you want to go right now? And I was like, well, I was gonna stop at Austin to see this girl first, and she wasn't answering her phone. I said, well, let's just wait till tomorrow. I said, can I sleep here for the night? And because I ain't sleep for 2 nights since I left the wheelhouse, and he's like, don't steal nothing. I was like, all right, and I said, I won't, don't worry. And man, I remember I was sitting on that couch where that gentleman is the next day, and Dante said, what the fuck are you doing? He said, this ain't the wheelhouse, man. You can't just sit here on the couch. And I'm sure I did just like a lot of people do when they get here. They fucking start crying to Dante, and I had tears coming out, and I meant every single thing I said. And he said, fuck. He said, I'll see what I can do. And he said, I'll put you in a room. And I still wasn't fully conceited to myself after all the shit I've gone through. And I've told this story here. I'm sure y'all have heard it, but I'm gonna say it again. I went to Walmart and I stole something, and I came back here and I was sitting on the end of my bed in my room, and the brand said Serenity, and I fucking started crying, man. And I told myself, I said, Alfred, if you keep doing the same shit, you're gonna keep doing this. You're gonna keep getting the same results. And I put that shit in my car, and I took it back to them people at Walmart, and I gave it back to them, and I said, I ain't trying to live like this no more. And that was the first time that I was honest with myself. And I get choked up, man, because I feel blessed to be here. I think I did step 1, 2, and 3 all right then. Nate's my sponsor. He was my sponsor the first time I was in the house. He's still my sponsor. So what's it like now? It's I got the same job I've had. So I get here, and I make that decision. Me and Nate, we go through the steps again. I got here in April, and April and through October, I didn't have a job, a tax-paying job. I took the jobs that came to the house. Some of them I didn't like. Getting underpaid for working out there in the heat with Corey's ex-boss. But I did it to pay my rent. And, it's just funny, it says in here, and I used to read this to people that come in the house, man, when I was the assistant manager here, and I couldn't listen to my own freaking advice. Dang it, I don't know what page it's on. Anyways, it say if you stick close to God and perform His work well, He will provide what you need. And I know that. I've seen it in other people, and I've seen it in my life now. You know what I'm saying? As long as you suit up and show up, shit gets taken care of. One of them extents, I had took a title loan out on my car, $1,400. I was working, I got to be the cook here, so I didn't have to pay rent again. Yes. And so I was able to save some money. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't buying hats or shoes. I was able to save some money, and I called the debt collector, the people up in Kansas City, Kansas, because Missouri side wouldn't do his car loan. I had to go to the Kansas side, and they gave me, like I said, for $1,400, and I ain't made one payment. And because I'd rather use my, casinos and all that other good shit up there. Anyways, I called these people and I said, look, man, I'm in recovery. I said, I know I owe y'all money. And I said, how much do I owe y'all? She said, like $2,400, something like that. I was like, and I told her my sad story, of course. It's sad, but it's true. And I said, is there any way that I could just pay back what I borrowed? I was willing to do that. And she said, hold on, let me talk to the manager. And she comes back, and she goes, we can settle it out of court for $900. Did y'all hear me? I borrowed $1,400, didn't pay one payment, and she wanted to settle it for $900. So they just put $500 in my pocket. And the funny thing about all this shit, you know how much money I had put up? $960-something. I went down to the post office. I got me a money order for $900, and I sent it to them people. And they sent me my title, and I still got it. Mr. Milton, I forgot to tell y'all this. I was blessed to tell my story about 3 weeks ago, so I already had my cherry popped. I knew what I was getting into. For real. But Mr. Milton and Fran came and seen me tell my story, and but he texted me today, man, and said, "Sorry, I can't make it tonight. We're in Pittsburgh with the grandchildren." I was like, "Man, I love you, dog." I said, "You already showed me love. Have fun with them grandchildren," and you know what I'm saying. So it just, but he gave me a job while I was here, man. He trusted. He invited me into his house. I just did the next right thing. It says, I think on page 419 or whatever, I read that in the morning, I just do whatever's in front of me to be done and leave the results up to God. However it turns out, that's God's will. And I believe that today. So I work for him while I'm cooking, getting my life sorted together, and Kelsey's brother-in-law, this dude was married to Kelsey's sister for like 26 years, and I'm a millwright by trade. So we go, his daughter's having a baby. We go to her house for the gender reveal, and he's like, "Oh man, is there anything I could do for y'all? Let me know." Well, I'm not gonna hit him up the first time I see him for a job. So about a month later, we go back, or a couple weeks later, we go back for the birthday shower, and that's another funny thing. So they drink. They could drink, like normal people, however you want to put it. They're like, oh, every time somebody says, oh, you got to take a drink, and so I had my bottle of Sprite, but I was taking a drink right along with them, and it was cool. But I hit him up for a job, and because he owns his own business, and anyways, he said, call me in November. Wait about a month. I call him. He's like, I ain't forgot about you. I finally, right before the new year, I called him, and I said, man, can I have an hour of you and your wife's time? Because she works for a company that does my kind of work too. And he's like, yeah, I'll take you out to eat. So I went and met with him to go out to eat, man. And he said, give me a week, man, I'll bring you on. And, I've had that same job ever since. And I feel blessed. It hasn't all been peaches and cream. I asked Nate about love when I got here. I said, man, I don't even know how to love myself. He tells me love is given in your time. And so for this whole year, my first year of sobriety, I try to give this lady my love. I don't cheat with I don't flirt with other women. I don't put myself in a position where it might harm her. And but I still cannot fall in love with her, and so I have to break up with her. And after making her a promise, I'll do nothing to hurt us this time. And so how do you make an amends for while you're making amends? I don't know. It's still jacked up. You know what I'm saying? I heard if you were to kill somebody within their first year of sobriety, man, you'd be killing a stranger. I don't even know who I am still yet. I'm still trying to figure that out. And Nate tells me that now you have all your time to get closer to God. And like the cup, am I gonna do it or not? Y'all know what I'm talking about. Y'all come to the meetings. So I'm doing it to the best of my ability. I go up. I don't live on this side of town. I live over in LaPorte. by the wheelhouse. I remember going up there, so when I first moved out, I was going to meetings. I made 2 meetings a week, and I was like, I'm gonna go up to the wheelhouse, find me a sponsee. I go up there for about, a week. Nobody want, and I don't read with nobody. I just think somebody's gonna ask me, and don't nobody say nothing. So I'm like, fuck this, and I get comfortable sitting at the house for a couple months. Anyways, when all that broke up happened, this is how I know God's real. We break up, and I called Brett to ask him for his advice. He says, make sure you have an exit plan already in, before you make this decision. And did I have a plan? I thought I had a plan, and my best thinking gets me at the fucking humble house. So I'm going to this men's meeting, and it's a sober house where I go, and I'm like, man, they'll let me in. Well, they're full. After I break up, and she tells me get my shit out, I got 2 days. I go to this, I call them, they don't have a place. I call this other place, they don't have no room. And so what do? I start looking at hotels. Me and hotels don't get along. So finally, what was I taught to do? I went up to the wheelhouse, and this dude was like, how's your day going? And I wasn't gonna say shit to him. And I just blah, blah. And this dude goes, man, he goes, I live in a sober house. He goes, man, we have 1 spot open. I was like, what, for real? And, I couldn't have been blessed with a better house. Everybody there has a year plus, except for one guy. There's 7 of us that live in this house. Everybody has their own room. I share a bathroom with 2 guys, not 22. It's good shit. I went up, once again about this, for if an alcoholic failed to perfect and enlarge his spiritual life through work and self-sacrifice for others, he could not survive the certain trials and low spots ahead. If he did not work, he would surely drink again, and if he drank, he would surely die. Then faith would be dead indeed. With me, it's just like that. So I go up to the wheelhouse, and it's funny how it works. I start reading with this dude, and what do you know? He asked me to sponsor him. And so I have a sponsee now, trying to give freely what's given to me. My job, is going good. We all got a group text. I make kit boxes for, turbines and compressors. They have a trade show next week at the George R. Brown Convention Center, and one of the boxes that I made is going to be at the trade show. So, that's pretty cool shit. I still have my car. It still don't go in reverse, but I guess that's God just telling me to keep going forward, Hey, I don't know, man. I feel blessed. Fears. I'm facing fears. One of my biggest fears was my child support. I ain't paid child support. I got 2 kids, 2 daughters, and I ain't paid child support, and I was scared to call them people. And I said, well, after I get a raise, I got a raise, and I still procrastinated for a month. And I finally called, and I'm 12 grand down on one girl and 8 grand on the other girl. But I got it set up where they take it from I've already made my first payment last month, and this week I have no money because it's getting taken out next week. But I'm okay with that today. God will provide if I stick close to Him and perform His work well. And the first time I ever went through this at the wheelhouse in 2017, dude told me to trust the process, and it was hard because I didn't trust me. Those. I don't want to say I don't. The thoughts still come every once in a while, but I recoil like a hot flame. I pray about it, and I call somebody. My boss is like, man, I don't know what you used to be like, but you're all right now. I say, you want to know what I used to be like? Man, one night I was in Kansas City. I was chilling at this store about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I sat there and talked to my brother for about 35 minutes. I turned around, there was nobody there. That's how I get. He said, man, he goes, I'm glad you ain't like that now. You might not be you might not be working here tomorrow. But anyways, man, this relationship with God is what I'm focused on. And one more thing I'm gonna say before time's up. I moved into this house, and they got this Sunday morning meeting from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And my roommate was trying to get me to go to it for the first month I was at the house. I was like, dog, that's fucking early, dog. On a Sunday? I'm trying to get some sleep. And I finally gave in and went to this meeting. Man, that 2-hour meeting feels like about 35 minutes. It's the best meeting. I look forward to going to it I've been going there a little over a month now. And it's the best meeting, man, that I've been to in a long time. And so, I have to make myself available because I never hear who's going to bring God's message to me today. And I don't know, man. I feel blessed. I didn't try to tell. I tried to talk about the solution a little more this time, Nate. He sure like to critique me. But I love him. I don't call him as much as I do, but I do call him when shit's in my head. One more thing real quick. So I had a couple weeks back, I was having there were nightmares. I was having using dreams. And, in the last one, I accidentally pushed. And I was like, damn, and I was telling Nate about it. And so I guess he talked to you, Daryl. And he said, I'm feeling guilty about something that I'm doing or feeling guilty about something that I should be doing, however you put it. And I was. Kelsey had a car broke down, and I was going, as a mother of my daughter, I was trying to fix it for her, because she got a new job in Baytown. I wanted her to drive safe to work. We were having a little fun on the side, and I had to stop that. And then the next 3 nights, I dreamed about girlfriends from like back in high school. Hey, and he said God must be showing you, how you need to treat people better. And I was like, damn, dog, you sure right. And it's just funny, man. One of the things he told me when I first got here was write out 5 ways you think God speaks to you. And man, he speaks to me in a lot of ways. And the more I stay sober, the more I can see it. I can see that. I don't have to wait till I'm at the top of the roof with that helicopter hanging that ladder down. I'll catch it the first round when it's on TV. I can hear God. He's in my heart today. That's all I got.